I think it went March 16th, 2022. We've made a trip to East Meon because this is where my memories, my childhood memories lie, and always liked the place, and I go back occasionally just to see what's changed, visit the old house, etc. We made our way up from the car park, which is Workhouse Lane, and there are some various properties up on this lane which are very pretty, original, unchanged. Most of the properties are listed anyway, so they can't really be changed much. Lovely garden there. It was a nice day too. It was a sunny day. I've been waiting for it for a long time. That was a nice sort of half. What's that on the wall? Is that very clematis on the bush there?
Yes, I think so.
That's more of a genuinely old building. The cross, well, I thought it was Cross Keys, but anyway, it's the cross now, is where I came in the corner here on my bike from up that direction and almost ran into the local policeman on his bike. Good telling off for that.
By a policeman. About 100 yards from my house.
What? In your car?
No, on my bike.
Oh!
It was like 11, I think.
This is the present course of the river. It was dug out after we moved away to alleviate the problems with the flooding. The problem was that it got to this point, it had to turn right and go down that channel there, which it couldn't do if there was too much water in it. It just built back through the village, flooded everything. Normally a fairly quiet stream, but it only rises about 3 or 4 miles to the east of East. Continuing down the lane, there's property there, and that's another very nice house. And that's the point where the river again turns sharp left. Another reason for it to block and fill up quickly. It always happened in October, that's when the rains came. This used to be a fishmonger's here, this house. I remember it well. Now we're almost out onto the main through road. So it's not an A B road or a B road, it's just a through route, but carries a lot of traffic nowadays. See the church, and this is why I waited to March to get the daffodils on the bank, because they're always beautiful. One more shot of the church, then we'll make our way up the High Street or Church Street, whatever it's called. It's the ditch gate for the church. It's where we used to wait for the bus in the morning to go to Petersfield School. There'll probably be a dozen or so boys. The girls picked the bus up somewhere else, but the boys were here. And we used to play cricket in the summer. The batsman would stand in the gateway, and the bowler would be across the road. There weren't any cars in those days. And if somebody hit the ball over that wall there, that was the end of the game. You couldn't get it back. While we were there were 2 men working on that ditch gate up under the roof. They've changed it somewhat at the moment. Now this is from an old painting that my mother did in the early 50s, and there's how much it's changed, much better then.
Forbes almshouses.
Almshouses, yes. Hello. Lovely, lovely houses.
Yeah.
It is. Just had a nice chat to that chap there in his house. He lives in that house in the corner. It's only one bedroom apparently. All almshouses. What did you say you paid £200? This was the post office. That's all it was, the post office.
I like, carry on.
This is the sort of centre of the village of Crossroads. River's calm now, but it wasn't always so. In 52, the same scene, when the floods came and it filled the river, it flooded over the roads and the shops. It was, you just couldn't get through it. All the children were sent home from school early because they wouldn't have got indoors otherwise. It was Pink's shop, and Mr. Pink ran it. Had ice cream once a month until it ran out and we couldn't get any more. This was the original course of the river. It flowed a bit further down to the next street, and that's where the blockage started, where it had to turn right. This is the heart of the village, and the major crossroads were everywhere. A lovely old cottage. The steps down to the river. Isaac Walton, I see there's a picture inside, a painting or an old photograph. It was called the New Inn. In my time it was never the New Inn. I asked the landlord about that and he said, oh, originally it was the New Inn, but back into the 19th century. And over there, in the 19th century, there was another shop across the road. That was Stephen J. Parsons, and they were a grocer. Altogether there was 4 bakers, 3 grocers, a butcher's, 2 mills, a wheelwright's, farrier's, a post office, and even a fish and chip shop, as well as visits from travelling shops. This was all before my time, and the one I remember was a travelling cinema that came to the village every week. They were called New Forest Cinemas and showed various films for the children and serials, and the parents had a later sitting in after the children had finished. In that little window there, as children, we could go there. It was like a hatch, and we could get bags of crisps. We weren't allowed in the pubs then in those days, but that was our little spot to buy something. The footpath comes out from the allotments there,
Yeah.
But we won't come that way because we're going to cut through to the church and up the hill. I guess this could be called the village green. I don't know of another one. Just a very small triangle of grass. A very nice lunch in there. 4 cups of coffee because they're a long time getting the food. Anyway, the food was nice. It baguettes, lovely bread, very crusty. That tree was planted. I was here in 53. I remember the coronation. So I can't remember the tree being planted, but obviously it was. I've been waiting for something to come out.
Been in?
That's there, yes.
Been in for a pint?
Yes, well.
Another old house there. There's a badge up on the wall, or I don't know what that. I don't know if it says anything at all, really. This appears to be an insurance mark. There were two insurance marks in East Meon, and each insurers had their own fire brigade, and they only extinguished fires to those buildings insured by the company. This one may have been the Farmers Fire and Life Insurance Company, though it's not quite easy to see. I didn't know whether we would see it, but I'm sure that is the picture. And the place Forge Sound. It's been the old blacksmith. No, it was a blacksmith up the road, so I don't know about that one. There's some people up on the hill, look there.
Yes, yes.
Sun blessed us again.
Lovely picture. You know, with the house there and then
It
the
is.
cottages at the bottom looking
Yeah,
up the hill.
it's gorgeous.
There's some-
Just getting a shot through there. People are walking down right on the top of the hill. Patch of sunlight there, catching those flowers. Just spotting these primroses on the bank. It's not cars going by, it's cyclists herring by.
Yeah.
This was the blacksmith's here, and it was a blacksmith, a working blacksmith when I was here in 50s. And this cottage is directly opposite the blacksmith, and it's called Forge Cottage, which is logical, I guess. I'm just going to wander down to the blacksmith shop. I believe it's a private property now, though it doesn't appear to be so. I thought that was the intention of it originally. But now I have a picture that my mother painted back in 52, and this was the smithy in those days when it was still working. Let's cross the cricket field now, and then almost opposite is the path that goes around past our old house. Yeah,
The hill behind.
that's my old school up there. Hasn't changed at all, except it's not a school anymore. And we'll get closer to it later on. Yeah, that bit beyond it, where the bushes are along the hill, that's what I call the vineyard, where we played our sports, cricket and football. Going to the path now, which takes us around the back of the old mill. Thank you. My old house, the mill. Oh, there's some in the garden. I'm just approaching the old mill, and this was the picture in 52 when we lived there, and I just realised that the tree's gone. The mill itself collapsed while we were there, and it's been replaced by a more modern property now. That's all that's left of the old mill wheel now. It was intact when we were here, although it didn't work, but it was still there, in place, in position. Come back to the River Meon now, it's on its normal course. Quite a lot of water in it here. I think it rises about three or so miles away. Just come around the side of the building now. This old wall in front of me, shed, that's the back end of what used to be, what do you call it, a cart shed or pigsty. We had a pig in there anyway, large sow. When she had litter, we weren't really pick one up, and the pig would squeal. She would chase us. She chased us right into the kitchen one day. We were a bit of a devil in those days. We just annoyed them. We just had a chat to the present tenant of the house, and I said we wanted to find a milk bottle with a name on. He said he'd keep an eye open. So we see. Bit of spring growth now in the hedges. We've seen more today. It's not quite as far forward as some, but it's coming. Oh, just coming into Frogmore now. There's a bus going down the road. Double-decker too. On its way. We'll see it again in a moment. Now that path behind the car is our route to the school. It wasn't very far. It's up a couple of footpaths and another field. And that house on the end is called Bottle L Cottages. We'll come back to that in a moment. A school friend lived in here. My name Rodney Bishop. I lost track of them. I don't know where they went. I certainly came asking or knocking on the door years later, and they were gone then. Just before we got to the school, we walked down to the bridge over the Meon in Frogmore. Now, this was quite important. Once a week, a fish and chip van would come along and stop there. It'd ring a bell, a hand bell, and we'd all come down and get our fish and chips. I think it was a bag of chips for threepence, old money. And behind me, over my left shoulder, was the road to the mill. So it was just a short walk down to the corner there. Pointing to it now. But the water backed right up to that when it flooded, up into the mill, filled the kitchen. This road, the footpath goes back to the village of East Meon In. Lovely old shed, some stable, some something.
Yeah.
Now we'll head up the path towards the school. Hope I can find somebody living there. But one of the chap we spoke to in the mill house, it's not very likely. Bottle Ale cottages, and there's the 4 bottles. I always remember them, built into the wall. Still there. I can't remember this house on the right, but it must have been there. At the top of this footpath there was a gate. We used to pass through this to go to the school. It's only a short walk. Very small field between that point and the school itself. Another footpath sign, I have no idea where that went. Must have walked this path many, many, many times in my life. There's the school. Oh, there's a window, there's somebody in. Just come across that little clump of cowslips, which are quite early really. First ones I've seen this year. At least they kept the name, the old schoolhouse. Hasn't changed at all. Always looked like that. Again, I rely on my mother's one of the paintings, and she did at the time. Hadn't changed much. The playground went down on the left-hand end. It was quite long. We had a bus stop there on both sides of the road. In fact, we had a bus every hour in those days. No, it's not even 2 hours, but it does still run and the same number. It's a number 67 that ran from Petersfield to Winchester. We also had a bus that went from Petersfield to Southampton rather more infrequently. So daffodils, I can't remember the daffodils being there. Lovely old building. Been some happy years there, but now I was the oldest, it does help. But from school, we used to go down to the church, walk down this road. The whole school did, all the children, on special days like Good Friday, well, not Easter Monday, but Good Friday, and special religious days, we marched down this road to the church. Very fast traffic through here, isn't there?
Yeah.
What are they called?
I think they're enemies.
Oh, enemies, yes, that's right. Really nice. It's down below the school now. It's playground probably didn't come quite as far as this. It was a long playground. It was an unofficial route up to the Park Hill from the end too, which one boy tried one day. See the daffodils, that's the church wall at the bottom of the hill. So, not very far, but just there's no footpath, that's the problem. Lots of cars now. There were so few cars when I was here in 52, 53, that one of the hobbies was collecting car registration numbers. Like train numbers, but they were cars. Considering we used to have to walk down here from school, now it would be dangerous, but in those days it just wasn't. We're near the church now. Once we get to there, we can cut across the graveyard up to the hill. This place opposite the church is extremely old. I don't know the history of it. Really rambling building. Might be able to look it up. Back to the church now. Here we are. We're popping for a look round. Just notice this view down through the village, through Church Street. This ditch gate is nothing like it used to be. The roof's been changed. But the bank of the churchyard has always been like that. Where we used to play cricket, waiting for the bus in the morning. Looking back down Church Street there, where we walked earlier. Yeah, it's an old church.
Yes.
The entrance into the church, it's very old. And I think my sisters were christened here. I don't think I was. I'd have been 9 years old by then. I think I was christened before that. Your church is around. The organ pipes there in the corner.
The only major addition to the church came around 1230. The church has probably been here since the 7th century. By the 10th century, the church was sufficiently important for a Saxon king to grant lands to it. Sadly, nothing of the Saxon church remains. The Normans built widely, and it was probably built in 1098.
Well, font, my youngest sister might well have been christened in that. I'll have to ask her. There's an even older font here. Oh, stone one. This is where we came as a school, and we marched down the road and sat in the pews, listened to the service. Bell is from HMS Mercury, 1941. Now, HMS Mercury is a land-based station up near Butcher Hill, not far from East Meon In. As far as I know, it's still there.
Arch that leads from the transept is a clear indication of how the original structure had to be altered when the aisle was added.
Looking down the church towards the entrance door. This is the tapestry which is inside the church, done by probably some members of East Meon In. Let's have a look. No, it doesn't say who. Probably Women's Institute, I expect. That's what normally do these things. You're in the side again. It covers the whole village. And Park Hill beyond it, not quite to scale. Trying to see if I can see Frogmore on here. Oh, there's the Isaac Walton pub.
Yes.
In the middle.
Yes. And I think
there's
the school.
Yeah, I don't know what that is up there. But we would have lived, Frogmore was down here. Oh, there's the mill.
Yes.
The white building.
Uh-huh.
Get the sunlight from the window out of it. That's our old mill. Oh, it's a bit cold in there. Very warm. We're just going to go up on the hill now, and that'll be as far as we go for the day. This is the footpath to the cord, and then we go up on the hill. Park Hill. We got here at 12 o'clock, so we've been away in the village, haven't we?
Yes.
Look at the decorative stonework over those 3 windows.
Yes.
And the round ones.
Yes.
Another shot of the village, Church Street, and the hills beyond. You across the graveyard into the village. Almost up the top. It's a right turn up onto the hill. Just up for a breather. Nearly up.
Where are you going?
It's on to you now. Oh, we're about halfway, well, yeah, we are halfway up the hill. I'm not going to do the top part of it. This is far enough. Just met 2 people who came down from the top. Look.
Yes.
Oh, pheasants.
Oh, Park Hill dominates the village, and from this lofty perch I can see the whole below me, the houses, pub and church. To my left I can see Frogmore and the mill that I called home. Beyond the mill, the meadows where we were free to roam. Along the lane, is that the smithy? And down there's the Meon stream. It was once a decent river that at times would burst a seam and roar down through the village, flooding across the street, bursting round the bridges, sweeping locals off their feet. Now all is calm and tranquil. The village slumbers on. People live and die here as they've always done, and I must leave my lofty perch and walk back down the hill, returning to my family. Nostalgia has its fill. I can see it now. I can see the mill. I can see my brother and sister still laughing and playing out in the yard. I can see it all if I try very hard. The mill was our playground. It didn't grind corn. The wheel had no water since before I was born. Flour dust coats the beams, and the millstone's still there in a timeless tribute to yesteryear. Now the image is fading, the yard is deserted. The children have gone, the mill's been converted.
At this point, overlooking the village from Park Hill, I think is a good place to end the video. It's been a good trip down memory lane, and leave you with a final picture of the church and Church Street. And I hope you enjoyed it all.